Hopefully, one day they bless us.
Okay.
It's still back there.
We're going to get started here today. If I can have your attention. My name is Jeff Jones. Our mayor could not be here today, Elsie Thurman, and as mayor pro tem, it falls on me to preside over this meeting. I am so glad to see all the community involvement that we have. I think it speaks volumes about the education and the dedication of our citizens. And we assure you that you are going to have an opportunity to be heard today. We assure you of that. We have, as of yesterday at 4:59 p.m., received a communication that the applicant for the Atten Hill Rock Crusher CUP, conditional use permit, has withdrawn their application. I do want to announce that just because it has been withdrawn does not mean it can't be filed again. And so this hearing has been duly noticed in the newspaper and other places, and you should have a right to be heard, because if this comes up again, we want a record of people's opinions with regard to this. So don't go anywhere if you don't have to. I just wanted to let you know that. And as a result of that, we're going to do things just slightly different today. We're going to have two opportunities, because we don't have enough chairs, obviously. We're going to have two opportunities for people to speak on this issue. And when I say this issue, I'm talking about the conditional use permit. You're going to either have an opportunity to speak at the public whatever it's called, comment section, which is fine. It comes before the hearing is actually taking place. But when you speak as a public comment participant, we cannot, by rule, the council cannot communicate with you. We can't ask you questions. You can't ask us questions. It's simply a way for you to voice your opinion with regard to this or any other aspect of Horseshoe Bay that you'd like to do, because I know there are other issues that people are going to talk about. So you're going to have an opportunity to either speak then, or you're going to have an opportunity to speak when the agenda item of the 6B is what it was, Rock Crusher, comes up, which, as I've already mentioned, has been withdrawn. But we are going to have a staff presentation. We're going to allow the applicant to speak if the applicant would like to speak, and then we're going to allow more citizen participation during that period of time, and you can have communication back and forth if you want it at that point. So we're very interested in preserving your testimony and your information, because it will be a part of the official record, and we will look at it in the event this matter comes up in the future. And I thank all of you for being here. So I look here, and we do have a quorum here today. We need 3 for a quorum. We've got 4 today. And so I am going to call the meeting to order, and I am going to ask Reverend John Duncan to give our invocation today, please. He's for Horseshoe Bay Church.
Let's pray. Father, today we're thankful that we can come before your presence and draw near to you and know that you draw near to us. We're thankful, Lord, that we can call you our God, our hope, our strength, our salvation. And Lord, we're thankful, Lord, that we live in such a great community. We thank you for every blessing that you give us. And Lord, we also know that the world is at war, and there's so much anxiousness and anxiety and, Lord, suffering in many parts of the world. And so we pray for your peace, and we pray that you would give a peace that passes all understanding. And then today, Lord, we thank you again for our community. We pray for it. We pray for this meeting, for our leaders in our community, for which we give thanks and lift them up to you. And we ask your guidance and shepherding care in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor.
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Yes, I will. Okay, before we get to our announcements, I did have one additional thing that I wanted to speak to, and that is if you wish to speak, you needed to sign this paper. If there's anybody else who would like to speak, can we keep this open for just a minute? Sure. Please feel free to get up and sign that paper. It might be difficult to do that, but we need a record of who you are, and when you do speak, I would ask that you come to the microphone, you state your name, you state your address for the record as well, please. And the last thing is, we do want to keep the public comments to 3 minutes. And we're not trying to be rude, we're not trying to cut you off, but we're going to cut you off. She's got a series of lights over here, and when that red light comes on, you're done. You're done. So please don't feel like we're being rude to you. We're just trying to keep this meeting rolling and on time so that people can get to their lives. Okay, we have some announcements before we get started with the business. And the first is Chief Fowler, I believe, has a new employee. Our new captain.
Before I get started, just to let you know that occupancy cards for the amount of people in a room is for when we are not present. It's normal business. I do have the latitude that when we have a situation like this to go ahead and allow more, but we do have two fire watches in the room, myself and Chief Black, to assist with anything that may happen along the way. So we are good to go. Captain Miller, please come forward. It's an honor to talk about Captain Miller. He's an outstanding firefighter, colleague, and individual. Ben has served in the fire service with distinction for over 20 years. Today we're recognizing his 15th year, finished with the Horseshoe Bay Fire Department. He brings great dedication, professionalism, and calm leadership to every shift. Whether it's a high-pressure emergency or mentoring a new recruit, Ben approaches each situation with focus, integrity, and heart. His commitment to the community is evident in his willingness to always help someone when they're in need. Captain Miller is a strong supporter of the Texas Interstate Fire Mutual Aid System and has played a vital role in preparing the Horseshoe Bay Fire Department and qualifying for emergency deployments. To date, Ben has participated in 2 deployments, one to Abilene in February and then one to the Metroplex area in March. Both deployments were for approximately 2 weeks. Beyond the firehouse, Ben is a devoted family man. He's been married to his wife, Adriana, for 17 years, and together they're raising 2 energetic, joyful daughters, Emma, age 11, and Reagan, age 7. His love for his family is evident in everything he does. You will often find him spending time outdoors with his family, whether fishing, playing sports, or just enjoying simple moments of life on the porch. Ben brings the same calming strength and reliability to his personal life that he does to his work. He is an important, loyal member of our team, and we are lucky to have him, not just as a firefighter, but as a leader and a friend. So thank you very much, Captain Miller.
Thank you, Ben. I didn't mean to call you a new employee. I knew better than that. Appreciate it. Jeff, why don't you stay up there, because I think you have some announcements for some service award and new city team members, perhaps.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to announce some new team members that we have is Michael Ellis. Is he here? Would you come forward, Michael? All right, I know this is probably embarrassing him good because he looks like he... But Michael comes to us with a decade of experience of dealing with evaluating residential property, which remains a primary work focus of the Development Services Department. He joined as a plan examiner and has included many years as a real estate agent, as well as spent his last 6 years at the Burnet Central Appraising District. The latter experience helped him prepare for to assist in one of the department's most critical current needs in a timely and accurate fashion. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Thank you.
Welcome to what you do.
And then we have a utility operator, Sean Keeley. Is Sean here? Oh, there's Sean. Okay, Sean met me at the gate this morning. I pulled up and my clicker wouldn't work, and I thought he was going to pull me out of the car and beat me. But he was very nice and very respectful. Sean has, from Pasadena, Texas, graduated in 1968, has a high school degree, went to a, 88. He's going to get me later. He's been a peace officer for 17 years in the Houston area. Sean also has been a deputy in Colorado and ended his career in law enforcement as a master peace officer in the state of New Mexico in 2015. And Sean is married to his wife Karen, and they have 5 grown children together. The youngest is still in college. And Sean and Karen have 6 grandchildren that they love and spend time with. Sean is asked to inform the council and the city residents that he is excited to be working for the Utilities Department. And in his first couple of weeks, he has seen a true dedication to service of the community and a priority to keep quality of water flowing to his homes. So thank you, Sean.
We're glad to have you, Sean. Is Jason
Tiffany.
going to do this one?
Is what now?
Is Jason doing this, the rest of these, or you?
No, me.
Okay.
Yes. Tiffany Jones, police dispatcher. Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany Jones grew up in Katy and began her law enforcement career in Llano Sheriff's Office as a dispatcher and a jailer for 6 years. She joined Marble Falls Dispatch a year ago and before she joined Horseshoe Bay Police Department. She has 2 grown sons and 5 grandchildren and currently lives in Llano, and she is our newest dispatcher. Thank you so much. And then Peyton Wallace, there he is. Peyton started his law enforcement career in Randall County Sheriff's Office in Corrections and as a patrol deputy, where he served 6 years. He has served in the field officer trainer and instructor and SWAT operator before joining the Comal Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy for the past year. Officer Wallace, let the I out, Wallace, has a 4-year-old daughter and expecting a new baby. He currently resides in New Braunfels. Congratulations on that baby. There is one thing that I don't have on the agenda, but it is our judge, Kevin Madison. He received a very, very high award from his peers, from the oldest peer recognition of judges in the United States. And he has the AV preeminent status, which means he's the very top of his peers, and everybody recognizes him as being a expert in communication and dedication to assisting people and not just administering the law. And so we're very proud of our Judge Madison, too.
He's very good about that, and very good about taking care of juveniles
That's
and
right.
getting them back
Yeah.
where they need to be instead of in behind bars. So that's excellent.
Very, very good heart.
Yes, very good heart.
That's it, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. Now we're going to go to public comment. And as I said before, these are comments that do not necessarily pertain to agenda items. We cannot communicate with you once you give those. So you're going to have the opportunity to present things about 6B here or when we get to the 6B itself. But I'm going to take these a little bit out of order. Can I do that? Okay. To make sure that we get these two that are not in relation to 6B. And one of them is Vicki Adcock with regard to Richter Ranch. Okay, so we're going to go with Rick Oberhalt on Richter Ranch. Can you come to the microphone and state your name and your address, please?
Hello, I'm Rick Overholt. I live at 215 Half Moon in the Highlands. Thanks to the council and all the city employees for all you do. I did want to speak for my 3 minutes about Richter Ranch development. I know you've heard a lot of my friends from the Horseshoe, from the Hill Country Truckers speak about this. And I've also gotten a lot of feedback from my neighbors in the Highlands because we're on the top side of that development. So it'll definitely affect us. If there's anybody that's not familiar, it's on Deep Shadows Road on the north side, and then it goes down to the Mausoleum, the Horseshoe Creek Hiking Trail, and the Eileen Herd Nature Preserve also borders it. And that's really why a lot of us are concerned about how much that is going to push on that natural area there. And we're just hoping that the city council and the city development services, I know you're limited in what you can do as a government in controlling development. And I know you already protect like the large heritage oaks, but we also are concerned about even the lowly Texas persimmons that play a really big role up here. And yet we see the developers come in and just cut them all to the ground. And same with the ash junipers that provide nesting for many different kinds of birds. So I guess what we're asking for, my neighbors and the trekkers, is that that we can have some sort of a buffer zone that's going to be left as they develop this between the nature preserve and then where they build the homes. I've spent 2 mornings last week walking it because I don't just want to look at a drawing and say, well, no, this is wrong. I've walked the entire perimeter of the preserve and that development, and some things that I hadn't seen in the many times I've hiked that trail is if you walk through the nature preserve gateway right at the parking, just go straight down the hill off the trail, you'll see grasses that are waist deep. There's a natural rock dam there that actually, whenever it rains, and right now is a great example, it backs that water up and it'll cover 2 or 3 football fields there. And right now the birds and wildlife are just going crazy there. And as you continue down that channel, there's some natural drainage that come off of the hill there. And I know the city recently did a drainage study, and I hope this is part of it. Because dissecting that property, there's almost a gorge. It's like 4 to 8 feet deep, almost solid rock. And I just wonder, is that going to be filled or will it be a feature of the neighborhood? It's things like that. We hope that the developer will talk to the neighbors and make everything kind of blend together. So I still have a minute left. Where am I at here? Really just want to get back to encouraging the dialogue and the buffer zone, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick, very much. Vicki Adcock, Richter Ranch, right?
Yes, and Rick did a really good job. I just want to piggyback on what he said and mention some of the benefits of trees as you consider that project. Trees not only provide an aesthetic value, But it's also cleans our water. It also cleans our air. It slows runoff just the way the rain hits the leaves and percolates down through the trees, and also prevents runoff by the root structure. So as you consider this project and others, please consider the trees. That's one of the reasons so many of us moved here, was the beauty of Horseshoe Bay. And those of you who know me know I'm concerned about nature and preserving it, not only for us, but for all of the animals and pollinators and birds that we have in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think there are some members of the Trekkers out in the audience too. If they are, I'd like for them to stand up. Good. Thank you all very much for being here. Good. And, or raise your hand, one of the two. Okay. Ma'am, were you approaching the,
No, I'm not approaching the. no,
Okay.
I'm just a country tracker. I'm supporting these
okay.
wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those comments. And I can assure you, our staff is here. They're taking that into consideration as well as we continue through this, because it's an ongoing dialogue that the city is having with the developer, and it's not done yet. So we want to move now to number 6, which is our public hearing section of the city council. And our first one is 6A, which is a public hearing concerning Phase 1 final subdivision plat of approximately 72.74 acres out of Atten Hill, consisting of 66 lots, 55 of which are proposed as single-family residential lots with 11 common area lots. I am going to open the public hearing now at 3:22, and I want to remind the council that we actually approved this preliminary plat in February of this year, and we also allowed the applicant a variance, a cut and fill variance, if you recall that as well. So now they're coming back for a final plat approval, which is what 6A is all about. And I want to ask Roy Jambor, Developmental Services, to give us his take.
Yes, sir. Just want to remind you that the staff report mentions the requirement to receive the required physical security to guarantee completion as well as maintenance of the public improvements. That staff report deadline was required before we'd actually received that physical security, but in the interim, we have received it, so that issue is no longer something you need to worry about. However, on many occasions, you've heard me refer to the subdivision approval process as a ministerial process, you know, what I call box checking. One of those boxes is consistency and compliance with the zoning ordinance. It's come to our attention through the withdrawal and correspondence from the applicant's representatives on item 6B that they may not be agreeing with the staff about what the zoning ordinance says. As a result, we would recommend that you include, as we've given you a proposed recommended approval motion that includes a reference to that, as well as including compliance with the zoning ordinance and including that in the required plat notes, and that your approval be contingent upon that.
Other than that contingency, which should already be in the requirements itself,
Yes, sir.
the final plat is recommended by your
Yes, sir.
office?
And I'll just give you an example of something that is a typical zoning ordinance requirement in districts, and something we'll talk about when we start looking at our ordinances. Very often, a zoning district will have a minimum lot size, okay? A fundamental, the first box you look at is is this plat consistent with those requirements? If it has minimum frontages, minimum depth, minimum total area, that's the first thing we'll look at. In the staff's opinion, the issue here is no different than something that fundamental. It's required before you approve the subdivision plat.
Council, you all have any questions of developmental services?
Mayor, you have to open the public hearing and declare the time. Did he declare the time?
I think so, yes, sir.
I think so.
That's
It's
all right.
now 3:25. I think I said
Just making sure.
3:22. Okay, so we don't have any questions for Roy? Okay. And how about the applicant? Is the applicant here today? And the applicant would be Summit Rock Land LLC. Can you state your name and your address, please, sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Howard, and I reside in Austin, Texas. I'm at 4301 Bull Creek Road in Austin, Texas. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
Are you the attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. The application, the final plat application meets all code requirements. It meets all state law requirements. And as Mr. Jambor mentioned, it's a ministerial act to approve the final plat. The preliminary plan was previously approved by council. The final plat was unanimously recommended by the the planning commission. And so having met all code requirements, it's ready for your approval. I didn't hear all of Mr. Jambor's comments about the zoning piece, but it is properly zoned for residential. The issue of the CUP has to do with construction activity, not platting requirements. And certainly, staff had recommended a denial of the CUP, but still recommended approval of this plat. So I don't think the CUP has anything to do with the plat, and that the plat should be approved because it meets all code requirements. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? I actually have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
And that is that the actual zone requirements prohibit any mining or quarrying of any land whatsoever in Zone 12. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with the prohibition against mining. That's correct. I think what we're talking about here is construction activities that are related to the residential development.
Okay. With this final plat, are you prepared to comply with all of the zoning requirements then as they are set forth in the Horseshoe Bay ordinances?
Certainly, we are required to comply with the zoning requirements of the city of Horseshoe Bay, and we will comply with the zoning requirements of Horseshoe Bay. There may be a disagreement about what those are, but I don't think that's implicated in the platting piece of it. I think that's a question for whether or not the construction activity that occurs meets those requirements. The plat itself meets the code requirements, as Mr. Jambor has testified to.
Anybody else? Okay, now, is there anybody from since this is an agenda item, anybody can speak on, from the audience concerning this particular matter? And again, we're not talking about item 6B, we're talking about the plat 6A. Okay? I am going to then close the public hearing at 3:29. And can I receive any kind of motion?
I'll make the motion. I move to approve the Atten Hill at Summit Rock Phase 1 final plat, subject to consistency and compliance with all applicable provisions of the future land use map and zoning ordinance set forth in local ordinances and state statutes, including but not limited to Section 14.02.414 C1L of Chapter 14 of the Horseshoe Bay Code of Ordinances, which prohibits refining, quarrying, or other operations of a related nature involving gravel, soil, or rocks on this property. This condition shall be added to the enumerated plat notes.
We have a motion by Councilmember Morgan. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Weatherby. Any further discussion by the council? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any against, say no. The motion passes, and the final plat is approved as written and platted. Okay?
With the condition to be. as
Right,
reflected.
with the condition in the motion, yes. We're going to move now to item 6B. And as I have mentioned, we are not taking a vote on this because it's been withdrawn. However, since we got it at a 11th hour, the withdrawal notice, we didn't have an opportunity to let you all know that it had been withdrawn. And so you have a right to speak on this matter. And I am going to read it first, and it's ordinance 2025-21, approving conditional use authorization 2025-03, a request for temporary approval of a rock crushing and screening operation at multiple designated locations within the Atten Hill at Summit Rock Phase 1 final plat to facilitate the completion of the subdivision. So we are now going to, did I open this yet? Okay, I'm going to open this hearing at 3:32, and I am going to allow our staff to discuss anything you'd like to discuss on the matter itself.
No, sir, just one simple thing.
Can you pull the microphone to
Yes.
your mouth, please? Thank you.
We're certainly aware of the applicant's representative's comments that we've seen in writing. We still stand by the accuracy of the staff report as written, particularly in light of the motion you made on the previous item that highlights the prohibition against this type of activity on that property and therefore requires as a temporary use, a conditional use approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jambor from the council? Would the applicant, Mr. Howard, would you like to speak to this matter?
Thank you, Mayor Jeff Howard, for the applicant. No, I don't think so, other than just to say that, and we looked very closely at the code, worked with the city council, or the city attorney, and it's our belief that a CUP is not required for this construction activity. And so that was the reason for the withdrawal. We're certainly willing to work and continue to work with the staff and pursue voluntary commitments regarding the operation of that rock crushing activity. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
I've got a couple of questions, actually.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir,
I have a question as well.
are you signed up to speak? Sorry about that. We got to follow our rules. I have a couple of questions, and that is, if the zoning says that there's absolutely no mining or quarrying or refining of rocks in any property in Zone 12, I simply don't understand how that could translate to we're consistent with what the zoning requires. Can you educate me on that?
Sure. I don't think the rock crushing activity is mining or drilling. I think what it is it's finding rocks, creating the aggregate on site, and then reapplying that into the trench. I think that's construction activity, which is specifically permitted in the in the code as a permitted use. I also think that we have a TCEQ permit and that the state rules and regulations regarding this activity govern, and so it's for those reasons that we think that the CUP is not required.
Well, TCEQ actually mandates what the air quality is, correct?
That's correct, but it governs this particular activity.
This activity goes beyond air, it goes to noise as well.
Correct, but there's also an exception to the noise ordinance for construction activities between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Now, the application itself seemed to indicate that it was that your engineer wanted 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Am I right about that?
No, sir. We were prepared to do, I think it was 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. just on weekdays, not on weekends or holidays.
Okay, that's not what the application said to TCEQ.
To TCEQ, I'm not aware of what the TCEQ application said. I was just referring to what we were prepared to commit to with the city of Horseshoe Bay.
And are you familiar with Tier 1 and Tier 2 TCEQ regulations or permits?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. Tier 2 actually allows for 250 tons per hour to be put through those crushers. Tier 1 only allows for 125, to be half of that amount to be put through. And the actual TCEQ guidelines indicate that a Tier 2 should be reserved for quarries and mines. So that's what you applied for, and that's what your permit was, and I'm interested in that.
Yes, sir. All I can tell you is that we've hired or retained experienced contractors, Cash Construction, Ranger Excavating. They do this all the time in this area and applied for what they believe was the appropriate permit for their construction activity.
What's this crushed rock going to be used for? Do you know?
I believe it'll be used to backfill utility trenches on the site.
Will any of it be sold off-site?
Not that I'm aware of. My client's somewhere here, but I don't think so.
Okay, would they be better positioned to answer that question than you, perhaps?
Perhaps. Won't be sold off-site.
Okay. I was real confused with regard to the definition of a quarry. And the definition I get is that a quarry extracts rocks through stripping, drilling, blasting, and splitting techniques, and by removing the topsoil and weathered rock, and then fracturing the rock. Large blocks of stone are then split away from the quarry face, and the resulting material is crushed and screened to create aggregates for various uses. Isn't that what the actual rock crusher would do?
I don't know that that's true. I'd have to look at that definition, but I don't think we're removing any rock from a rock face. I think we're just taking the rocks that we encounter while we dig and do our excavations and crushing those, because it's in this part of Central Texas, it's very rocky geology.
Okay. And again, I don't know too much about rock crushing, but aside from what I have learned, broken rock, they said, is transported to the crusher itself, either a jaw crusher or or some type of cone crusher, and they reduce the size of the rock pieces. Isn't that exactly what?
Yes,
that's
but
a quarry.
I don't think there's any removal from a rock face. I don't think it's a quarry. I think it's a single family construction. We're digging trenches for utilities because we're required to bury our utilities. We encounter rocks. Those rocks are too big. We need to make a native aggregate for backfill purposes, and so we're just crushing the rocks that we encounter.
I really appreciate you answering my questions. Anybody else have any other questions here? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it very much. Somebody might have a question for you from the audience, so don't go away necessarily. Now we're going to open it up to the citizens who have signed up, and I'm going to go to Dale Rodman. Would you like to speak on 6B, sir?
Yes, sir, I do. I'm Dale Rodman. I live at 416 Mayapple in Tuscan Village. I've been a resident in Horseshoe Bay for 25 and a half years. I'll start off by saying I have never seen a rock crusher in Horseshoe Bay. Secondly, I want to thank our city council. You're all volunteers, and we really thank you for the service you provide for us. I also want to thank all these people in this room. I probably should tear this up because I don't need it, but I heard some things just a minute ago that are real concerned because they still want to crush rock, without a question. I'm very much against the dust and the rock and doing that in Horseshoe Bay. And one thing I do want to present is a little bit the public notice. It was published in the paper, but the permit actually talks about 2 rock crushers and 2 screeners, but it didn't really say that. It was pretty nominal. It said rock crushing and screening. Now, whoever writes those public notices, and I don't know who that is unless it's Adden Hill, needs to put more information in. Second thing, very few people in Horseshoe Bay read all those public notices. I read them not because I like them. Most of them I don't pay much attention. I don't know where they're at. But I read that, and thank goodness we notified a few people in Tuscan Village, and we talked about it. And there's about 4 or 5 who want to speak on this subject. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But I think that we can get I ask everybody in Horseshoe Bay I have talked to if they want rock crushing is 0. So you got 100 to 0 against rock crushing. So as our elected officials, you need to think a little bit about that. The rock crushing, and there's a lot of technical stuff that goes with it, but I'm very much against it. I'm against the dust and the noise. If you go north of Burnett up here, we got multiple rock crushers in this area. North of Marble Falls, between Burnett, you can see the dust out of those facilities go up there for miles all over the trees. May not be there this week because we had a rain, but it'll be back there. Many of the trees have died. One of those plants actually makes sulfuric acid. So when I asked Adden Hill why was good for us to have rock crushing, first answer was, we're going to do less damage to your roads. Well, first off, that's an idiot answer, because we don't want any damage to our roads, and if we do, we want somebody to take care of it. Then another person told me that it would just slow them down by 2 months to finish the project. That wasn't from them. So I'm going to not talk much longer. I do want to say that I had originally planned to ask for, we got this stopped, to have a change, to get the ordinance against rock crushing in the city ordinance and not worry about quarries and all that, just say rock crushing, because we want to be able to stop this. So we're going to have a chance right now in the next month or so to take care of that. So I challenge the city council to do that. Thank everybody again. We greatly appreciate it. We asked to get a turnout, and we had a bumper turnout. And thank you all folks for staying here. And I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rodman. Our second speaker is going to be Sandra McFarland, and while she's making her way to the microphone, I would like to say that in the interest of time, if you don't have to go your full 3 minutes and you want to just say, I echo everything that Mr. Snigglefritz just said, feel free to do that, because we'll then have that on the record as an agreement. So that's fine. Just don't repeat someone. Thank you. Ms. McFarland.
Hi, I'm Sandra McFarland. I live at 112 Delfino Place here in Horseshoe Bay. And unfortunately, the withdrawal of the variance and the interesting comments by council doesn't address my concern, which is the noise pollution that will result from the rock. I moved to Horseshoe Bay 2 years ago because my parents have been here since '86 and still love it. One of the things I enjoy about it is sitting out on my patio and listening to the birds. I can't identify the birds, but fortunately I have an app for that. And the app is the Merlin app, and I can turn that app on, and within a few minutes, less than 5, I can get 6 to 12 different kinds of birds singing to me. The Merlin app also tells me we have over 101 kinds of birds in this area at this time of year. I guarantee the birds that sing to me in my patio area, on the green belt, don't stop at Tuscan Village. They go on up the hill. That if we don't take care of the noise, even if we can ignore the destruction of their habitats up on top of the hill, we're going to cause them to have, to relocate their habitats. We can impair their communications. They can't hear each other. They can't mate. They can't hear prey. They can't hunt. Behavioral changes. They are less likely to be reproductive successes. So anyway, I think I feel very confident that the 30 types of birds that I hear singing to me would join me in asking the council to do whatever possible to limit the noise of what they're suggesting they're going to do without the variance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland. Dick Smith?
Thank you for hearing us, Council. My name is Dick Smith. My wife, Margie, back there, live at 111 Rivalto Drive, in Tuscan Village. We were the first residents in Tuscan Village, December of 19, even though we started the process in 2018. So we are very familiar with dealing with developers and the city. We are strongly against the rock crushing, both for the noise and the air pollution. I had written a script kind of for myself to follow, but after developments today, after the hoorah of the withdrawal, now it sounds like they're trying to go in the back door somehow, because they think they can still crush. And we are strongly against that. I recently participated in the Citizens Academy. It was a great experience, learned a lot about the city, but what I kept hearing time and again from staff, from elected officials, is how much they wanted to ensure that everything is done for the benefit of Horseshoe Bay in general, not the fortunes of one developer, which is where we're headed here. Now, I have another section, and it's probably going to sound like I'm going off track, but I will show you there. I've been a member of Rotary International for almost 50 years, and Rotary is worldwide, has 1.4 million members. It's a service organization. We have what we call the four-way test of things we think, say, and do, which help guide us in our thought processes of things we think, say, and do. And I think that four-way test applies to this process, whichever door they're trying to go in. And the first one, is it the truth? Now, I know nothing about these developers or their reputation, but like I said, it sounds like they're trying to go in the back door. But also, I wonder.
For future reference, that's a 30-second marker.
Oh, gosh. I wonder why they are just now talking about rock crushers. Why wouldn't that in the original application, maybe thinking the original application would not have been approved? And my other thought process there is, how many extensions are they going to ask for as they slow down on this process? So I'm done. Anyway, we're against it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your comments. Jay Platt.
Thank you, Council. My name is Jay Platt. I live at 134 Rivalto Drive, Tuscan Village, Summit Rock, Horseshoe Bay. I would like to submit my objection to the installation of the rock crusher and screeners in the Atten Hill Summit Rock development. The permit is in direct opposition to the city's 20-year mission of smart and ecologically friendly growth, and would set a bad precedent opening the door for future industrial-type activity in our city, which I don't think any of us want. The noise and air pollution created by this project would adversely affect the Slick Rock community, the Summit Rock community, and Horseshoe Bay in general. I hope you are able to somehow shut the back door. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Platt. Mark, is it Calkin?
Calkins.
Beg your pardon?
Mark Calkins.
Calkins.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and City staff. My name is Mark Calkins. I live at 306 Mayapple Road. In light of the conversation today, especially the comments made by the representative of the applicant, I really wanted to focus on talking about not only this is a residential community, it's a recreational environment as well. Several of our communities spend 4 to 5 hours on Summit Rock Golf Course. And we're already breathing in dust, we're already listening to the noise, and rock crushers are going to add up to 85 decibels of noise, which exceeds World Health Organization standards. It's also going to add particulates that have been known to cause diseases, lung cancer, and other issues. So really it's putting our community as well as our environment at risk. I'd urge the applicant to consider using some of the commercially available installations within 15 miles of our community, and also urge the City Council to put an ordinance in place to specifically target this type of activity in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. And I would also add that not only do we have what we feel is the correct zoning prohibition against this, but we're also going to shore up any kind of specific language such as the one you just discussed as well. Willie Reinders.
Someone's got to change it up. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, staff. My name is Willie Reinders, and I live at 114 Delfino Place. I'm sorry, and I'm not leaning forward enough, am I? In Summit Rock within Tuscan Village. I'd like to hit this particular topic from 3 quick points of view. The first one being, back on the 21st of January of this year, this particular topic was on the council's agenda, and at that time, the project was already seen to be on the bridge of excessive with regard to the amount of cut and fill that they were asking for. But at no time during that arduous meeting and kind of the launch of what is to be attempted at Atten Hill was any crushing brought into it whatsoever. The other point of information that I think is important is, in addition to the city ordinances and the zoning requirements, Summit Rock itself has CCRs that govern Summit Rock. And I might draw your attention to a couple entries from there. In Article 16.5, it specifically says that no property shall be used for the purpose of mining, quarrying, drilling, boring, exploring for, or removing of water, oil, gas, other hydrocarbons, minerals of any kind, of rock, stones, sand, gravel, aggregate, or earth. It's pretty clear. That can't be a much less all-inclusive statement. As it regards noise, there's a whole, and I won't read it to you, there's a large paragraph, 16.7, that describes it under the title of nuisance. And there's a lot within that particular article that deals specifically with what is and is not considered permissible noise levels. The last thing I'd like to talk about are what I have discovered to be some of the environmental impacts related to the rock crushing operation. And I found a document by the EPA specific to rock crushing. And it considers sources of emissions to be quarrying, crushing, screening, mineral handling, and washing. Now, the crushed stone is the largest non-fuel, non-metallic mineral industry in the United States. in total volume as well as value of production. A rock crushing operation from a portable rock crusher generates 11 pounds of dust per ton processed. The dust comes from two sources. One is called process dust or process emissions, and those are as a result of the machinery working.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
out? I'm out.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll go to John Levins.
Thank you, Council and Mayor Pro Tem. I'm John Levins. I live at 420 Passion Flower in the Stable Rock part of Summit. I spent 40 years in practice pulmonary and internal medicine and became very aware of silicosis as a real health threat. The X-ray for silicosis looks very much like asbestosis, little finer granules and such, but we had to deal with tremendous loss of lung function. Many of you are probably aware that we use spirometry as one of the best indicators of lung function. But you may not have known that every one of us from the age of 35 years old on loses about 1 to 2% of their lung function every year. This isn't my opinion. This is just a medical fact that the decline in lung function is a linear decline over time. I think it's safe to say that most of us that live in that Summit Rock, Tuscan, Golden Bear, all that area, have already lost well over 30% of our lung function. And silicosis, which is the condition that develops when you inhale silica dust from crushing granite and the rocks that they would intend to crush, is the cause of silicosis. Most of us cannot afford this, and I think that it's in our best interest to think not only of noise, vibration, all the nuisances that we encounter with this, but as a very real risk. I mean, how many of you may already have minor lung disease? And by the way, that decline in lung function has nothing to do with whether you smoked or worked in a coal mine or anything else. So let's think about that, the real health risks involved. And by the way, if you try to wash or use water to dampen out the amount of dust that spreads, well, two things. You use a tremendous amount of water in that process. And secondly, what happens to the water after it dries? I mean, you still have got dust that's going to be everywhere. What if you cover the conveyor belts? That's been done in a few places. That's supposed to only limit about 10 to 20% of the dust that would be in the air. And in case none of you have noticed, it's pretty windy up there. And it's you know, the dust already lands in the pool and everywhere else. By the way, just as an aside, I just want to offer this as evidence that there is quarrying going on because these rocks flew the 10th fairway, flew my backyard, went up 8 stairs, and landed on my top patio against my sliders. I confirmed with John, John Bauer, I believe his name is, the seismic director, that they did come from a particular blast, what he called an air blast, where they didn't seal the very top of it with a collar well enough, and it flew. I mean, many of you saw it on the golf course, in your swimming pools. This actually hit my back slider. So I think that's coring, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Larry Stahl. Larry Stahl.
Thanks. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate everything that you guys do. My name is Larry Stahl. I live at 134 Paintbrush, which is right in front of Tuscan Village. And so I just want to bring to your attention a couple of things. First of all, ditto to everything that's been said so far. I am vehemently against this rock crushing for multiple reasons, even more so now that I've come here to listen and learn about what the heck is going on. So I was on the first long-range planning committee for City Council, and we reported to City Council. And that sign behind you guys, we developed that. I was part of putting that together. So I had 3 things to offer. Number 1 was thank you very much for what you guys do.
Number two is, somebody had also had mentioned the communication. We heard about this third hand. We did not know this. The signs that they had were just tiny little signs, and I blow by them. Unfortunately, I drive too fast, and so I didn't get to see the signs, but we heard about it. Somebody in Tuscan Village got an email, and so it floated over to us. And so that's how we found out about this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known. And I know you try to do the best you can to get the communication out, but communication could improve. So the last thing I have is, why are we all here? I came from Houston, Texas, where the quality is not what it needs to be. And the natural beauty is here, and the quality is here. And this is why we came here. This is why we all came here, to enjoy nature. So we wanted to get away from big boxes. We wanted to get away from industrial. We wanted to get away from traffic lights. And all of that so far is held true. So this rock crushing feels like industrial. And I think you guys, I think I know where you stand. And if you need more support, I'm here to support. But we have to consider the safety issues. We have to consider the health issues, and we have to consider the environmental issues, all of which have been brought up here tonight, or today. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, and please, let's stop this.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. This brings us to the end of the people who signed up. I am going to ask our city attorney, there were some people who raised their hand who I'm not sure had an opportunity to sign up. Are we allowed to get them on the record as well?
Yes, I think the practice has been to allow the people that hadn't had a chance to sign up but raised their hand can come forward and state their name and address for the record.
Okay, thank you very much. So because of our crowdedness in here, the gentleman in the back wanted to talk. You didn't sign up. Go right ahead and limit it to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, my name's Todd Borman. I live at 212 Natty Woods up on the top of Summit Rock. And my question was actually for the applicant. That's why I didn't sign up. I was hoping to ask the applicant a question. And that
Well,
question...
I think he's still here, by the way.
Okay. Well, and that question would be, when they submitted the original plat to the city council, and thank you for being very diligent in watching over the citizens' interest in this, that when they originally submitted their plat, did they submit a survey or let anybody know, or through engineering, that that hill that they're building on is all rock? It is not dirt that is easily movable and controlled. They've been blasting now for over 2 or 3 months, and they're probably going to ask for an extension to the blasting, because I don't think they're done. If they need to do rock crushing, I don't think they're going to be done. And I don't think that they did the proper surveys themselves with their engineers and with their rock removal and construction companies to look at that plat and the road that they're putting in and the properties that are on that road at some very steep angles, that they were going to run into this kind of an issue. That they didn't do their due diligence in signing the plat agreement with the council. And that's what my concern is that why didn't they come to you in the beginning with that type of concern and that type of knowledge? It is available to the contractors. They know what they're dealing with when they go out and survey the land. And I'm sure they did plenty of surveys because they already have phase 2 planned for that development. So that was my question, and that's what I hope that you will get, those type of answers from the applicant.
Is Mr. Howard still with us?
Yes.
Would you like to reply to that, Mr. Howard?
Jeff Howard for the applicant. I'll just say that the client did do their due diligence, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Oh, Rick Williams.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that, the gentleman's question. So typically how this works is they'll go through the preliminary plat, then they go through a very lengthy development review committee process, which is city staff, myself, development services director, utilities, public works, et cetera. And so they did acknowledge the rock. Blasting is something that is unfortunately kind of familiar in Horseshoe Bay because of the rock and the geology. So they were aware of the rock, evidenced by them having to pull the blasting permit. At no point in the DRC process was a crusher screener brought up. So,
Thank you, Rick.
yes, sir.
Okay, council, you all have anything additional?
Could you read the definition or what is included in the plat that we approved that as it pertains to mining and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? What did that say exactly?
He is asking for us to reread the actual motion for the plat with regard to the zoning issue that we are requiring on the plat and for them to comply with. And basically, it says, we approve the plat, Phase 1, subject to consistency and compliance with all applicable provisions of the future land use map and zoning ordinance set forth in local ordinances and state statutes, including but not limited to Section 14.02, 414, C1L of Chapter 14 of the Horseshoe Bay Code of Ordinances, which prohibits refining, quarrying, or other operations of a related nature involving gravel, soil, or rocks on this property. This condition shall be added to the enumerated plat notes.
Thank you.
So as we discussed I'm going to close the, oh, did you have something? I'm sorry, ma'am. I opened it up for additional people.
I'm Terry Hunter. I live at 104 Nightshade, so we're on the top of the hill as well. Ditto everything that everybody said, but I want to address more cosmetically what's happening, and this has nothing to do with the rock crushing. It has to do with what's going on right now. We can't even use our back patios without doing extensive cleaning out there because of the dust that's occurring, from the patio to the pool to the windows, your furniture. We're having to undergo quite a bit of an effort to even think about going out on our patio, and that's what's happening right now. And I took a video actually today of the amount of dust that was happening just because I believe right below us is where the guard shack is going. And the amount of dust that you see, it looks like a cloud of just thick, heavy smoke. And fortunately, the wind for us was blowing away from our house. But as the wind turns, that could have been all over our house. So we're incurring, all of these residents are incurring, additional expense that they're having to incur over who knows how many months this is going to be. So I don't really expect compensation for it, but, it certainly is quite a pain in the rear. Let's go with that.
Thank you.
Thank you
You very much. You have one more thing? Rick?
Yes, sir.
Williams has it.
You want me to go first, or do you want the resident mayor?
If it's something new, we'll allow it. Otherwise, what I'm going to do in a moment is get a show of hands of folks who have not spoken, who agree with the speakers that we've heard. And we will put that in the record. Sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Monica Sibakmar. I live at 604 Passion Flower. I'm not used to doing this, but I just have a question for the applicant who is now requesting a rock crusher. And I'm curious what your original plan was going to be to take care of the rock.
Jeff Howard, for the applicant, I don't think there was any other plan. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Rick Williams, Developmental Services / everything else.
Yeah, they see him. Yes, sir. Just for the record, too, we received 31. Some of them are duplicated. But we've received 31 emails as well, all in opposition.
Okay. Let's make sure and have that as a part of our record as well.
Okay.
Were there any in support?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I ask for a hand vote? Okay, can we get an idea of everyone in this room who agrees with the conclusion, I guess, that rock crushers should not be allowed? I'm going to say let the record reflect, I don't see any hands in lapse at this point. So it looks almost unanimous, except for Mr. Howard, maybe.
And then ask for anybody that would be supportive of.
Well, anybody who would be supportive. I know Mr. Howard. Oh, yes, one back there. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? I am going to close this public hearing now at 4:11. We are not going to vote on this issue. I will tell you that our staff and our council will work diligently with the information that we have and the information we've gleaned today. I want to thank all of you all for being here and sharing these ideas with us as well. And we're going to continue now with our agenda. So, our next item of agenda is 6C, which is the Trays Vista final subdivision plat of approximately 3.21 acres located at the end of Thataway Drive. I'm going to let everybody get out first. Thank you for,
You too, man. All right, you too. Thank you.
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Thanks for the, please do, to the whole council. Okay, our applicant also is here, I think, Rick Towns, or, I saw Rick. Okay, this is one, council, that was going to be 6 R1 lots. It's a beauty of a beast because they've reduced 6 lots into 3 residential lots. And they had a hard time getting access to some of those lots, and so they're going to have a common driveway, and then they're going to deed a portion of a lot, or a whole lot, I guess, that the city tower is on, the cell tower is on. So it's a win-win for everyone, I think. So Roy Jambar, wait a minute, I'm going to open the hearing at 4:14, and Roy Jambar is going to be given out.
Yeah, just to remind you, we do have physical security in hand, so you don't have to address that in your motion. Again, we had to write the staff report before it was delivered, so we had to include that contingency in the information we provided to you. The staff feels like it meets all the requirements and support approval.
It comes with a unanimous recommendation from the P&Z, correct? Okay. And anybody have any questions for Roy? Okay, let's hear from the applicant. Rick?
I assume this is a poor time to ask for rock crushing.
Show him the door, please.
Yeah, no, appreciate all that you do. Obviously, we've been working together for almost 5.5 years now, and we do think of the community, and I'm not just saying that because, as you said, we could have done 6 lots and knocking it down to 3 beautiful lots with nice views. I think, you know, I'm a member at Summit as well as other courses, and I'm looking at it too. You know, I might live there, I might live in our new Stillwater Ranch project, but in reality, we're always trying to maximize the, I guess, the experience and the implications that it has on our community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Rick?
The rock crushing was a joke.
All right. I am going to now close the public hearing at 4:16, and I will entertain a motion which is on page 64. No, excuse me. It's on 59.
I move to approve the Tre Vista final plat.
We have a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Do we have a second? Second from Council person Ms. Waddell. And all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Tres Vista final subdivision plat is approved. So thank you, Rick, for doing that. Okay. The next item is 6D, which concerns the trails of Lake LBJ. Oh, did I close the hearing? Yes. Okay. The Trails of Lake LBJ Phase 4 preliminary subdivision plat number 4.1 of approximately 163.76 acres, 39 lots of single-family residence, and 8 common areas. And Roy, I believe you've got this.
Yes, sir. Just as a reminder, this is a preliminary plat. Your approval at this phase of the process is simply a direction to the staff to review this for subdivision construction plans, the technical part that we will go through. It's administratively determined to be complete, has all the elements. A couple of the lots have a little tortured access, but you know that's probably due to the very large size of the lot and the topography on the grounds. They accommodated the staff requirements as best they could, which is to make sure that they have enough room to meet our driveway requirements for 2 side-by-side driveways to those 2 lots. Just as a reminder, there's 2 more items related to this development, but those are in somewhat unrelated to this approval. This is simply you giving the go-ahead to start the staff working on the.
And this is preliminary plating, which means
Yes,
the
sir.
final, where everything goes and what it looks like and what trees come down and all that stuff, that comes later.
Yes, sir. Now, we have reviewed it for relation to the protected tree plan to see that if there would have been some lot lines that should be shifted in order to maximize the preservation of those trees, we would have asked for that at this stage, not later, but we will go through that again.
This is the original developer of the other 3 phases at.
Yes, sir.
At the trails.
Right. Once again, the whole purpose here is to start the engineering reviews. That's pretty involved and pretty technical.
Staff, do y'all have anything for the staff? Council, nothing? The applicant, we have the applicant. Would you like to speak, ma'am? Can you come up to the microphone and state your name?
I'm Robin Walsh. My dad is Mike Walsh. He's the original developer of the trails, first 3 phases, and I'm just working with him on this last phase 4. That's 165 acres, 39 lots, so large acreage lots. We're trying to do a low-density development, which is something that we know the neighborhood wants. Both my dad and I live in the neighborhood as well. And it's going to be continuation, so trails, horse riding trails, the rest of the community will be able to go over there and use that. So this is just a continuation of the trails, which is highly focused on nature, preservation of wildlife. We have wildlife exemptions. It's going to be beautiful, just like the rest of the trails. We're
Good.
excited.
Wonderful. And this is a gated community as well.
Yes, that's correct.
And so there's one, is there one access and egress and?
There's actually two.
They're both gated?
Yeah, they're both gated,
Okay.
yep. There's one on 311 and then one on 2831. And for the project, there will be a separate construction entrance, but then once construction is over, that would go away.
And this also comes with a unanimous P and Z recommendation, Roy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Walsh from the council? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing then. Oh, excuse me. Did you? No, I didn't. Can we allow that? Okay, yes, sir. Oh, yeah, can you come to the podium and state your name, please? We're relaxing the rules a little bit today, so I didn't want to.
Michael Walsh, live on 2803 Ranch Road, 2831. It's a different Michael Walsh, though.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah, there's two of us here
I
tonight.
thought I finally met him.
Okay. My question was, can you tell us where that construction gate is going to be?
I don't know exactly. There is a curb cut on 2831.
Can you speak?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't know exactly yet. I'm sure we'll work with the city and our construction guys on that, but there's a curb cut on 2831 that we're looking at using. We just want to make sure that where they're coming in, we don't put them against a bunch of trees and vegetation that needs to stay, so we're looking at it, but it would be along 2831 there.
That curb cut would be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions from council? Now I'm going to close the public hearing at 4:22, and I'll entertain a motion, which you can find on, I think, page 64.
I move to approve the Trails of Lake LBJ Phase 4 preliminary plat.
Councilmember Weatherby made the motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. Councilmember Morgan seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say no. The motion carries. We thank you very much. Our next item of business is ordinance 2025-19, which is amending Chapter 14 of the zoning, Article 1402 of the zoning ordinance, Division 3 zones and classifications of the trails. What does that mean, Roy?
Yes, sir. One of the future lots that you just approved in this preliminary plat has waterfront access. So they wanted to create an amenity lot that included boat slips and boat storage as well as trailers. Problem is that that particular zone of the zoning ordinance doesn't accommodate that use. So we had to create the authority for that use. And that's the amendment that you see in front of you now, which is simply creating the ability to request that zoning.
And it's creating lake recreation of
Yes, sir.
that one lot, is that correct?
Well, that's your next application,
Okay.
but this
This
amended the
is
ordinance.
the zone itself.
Right. This is
Okay.
amending the ordinance.
Got it.
So that they can thereafter apply for it.
All right, do we have a, Ms. Walsh? Would you like to speak to this?
Sure. So like I was saying before, what we're trying to do over there is a low-density development. We originally, my dad and the original investors of the trails, owned the property and sold it back in 2013, so it's changed hands a couple times before we have now bought it back. And in order to do this low-density development, it's important that we get the value out of these lots in order to sell them to make it make sense. And in order to do that, we think we need to give access to the people buying the lots to the lake. People coming out to the Horseshoe Bay want to have access to the lake. They want to be able to take their boat out. That's the main reason. And so this is very important to the development. It's really not going to work without doing that, and that's why we're applying for it.
Okay, and that, we'll take that up, I guess, in the next,
Yes, sir.
the next section
Yeah.
then.
You have to approve this first.
With regard to the boat docks and jet ski docks, et cetera. Okay, any questions for, did I not open? Consider that public hearing opened about 3 minutes ago, please. Now, does anybody have any questions for Roy or for Ms. Walsh? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion. And it's on page 69.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-19 as presented.
Okay, Councilmember Morgan made the motion, and it was seconded by Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Ordinance 2025-19 is approved unanimously. I'm going to close the public meeting, and we're going to go now to item F, which is ordinance 2025-20, which is rezoning approximately 4.43 acres out of Lot 64A of the Trails of Lake LBJ, Phase 2, for the new lake area lot that was just created. So we're going to now open the public hearing at 4:26, and Mr. Jambar?
Yes, sir. Technically, this lot won't exist till you approve the final plat. So in the meantime, we're actually approving this application based on a meets and bounds legal description that's attached to the ordinance. The zoning ordinance of Horseshoe Bay requires an applicant that applies for anything other than single or two-family residential development to include a site plan. That is intended to be a conceptual site plan. Rest assured that the same detailed review that we will conduct on the subdivision construction plan, a similar review will occur for this. The reason that's relevant, a couple of things came up. As you can see, this particular drawing shows that those boat slips almost touching the property line of the adjacent lot to the west. Rest assured that's not allowed, and that, you know, we'll make those adjustments during that review. There are other issues that will come up, the most prominent of which occurred at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is it was revealed that they attempted to strike a deal, if you will, with the adjacent property owner to share access, lake access there.
This would be Blue Lake?
Yes, sir. So far, they've been unsuccessful. What we've asked them to do is, you know, when we do that review, allow us to do what we can to try and get them to reconsider. At issue will be the ability to preserve several heritage oak trees that might otherwise be lost. But rest assured that the DRC will most definitely look at that issue and do our best to address that concern.
Other questions for Roy? Okay, we're going to hear from Ms. Walsh again.
Yep, I just wanted to also to add to what Roy said. We've been working on some of the things that he talked about, and we have moved the slips 25 feet off of the property line. It's not shown on here, but because we've had the engineers working on it, but the first slip would be 25 feet from that property line, which is actually 15 more feet than the old setback was, because the original setback was only 10 feet, so it gives them a really nice buffer there. It also saves 3 oak trees. So we've already been working on that. And I did reach back out to Blue Lake after the P&Z meeting at the request of one of their members, and didn't get a response from them. So we've been somewhat in contact with their POA just to let them know what was going on and to let them know, hey, we'd be happy to open up this canal. We'd need to dredge a little piece of their property. If you wanted us to do that, we do feel it would benefit both parties. They declined, we accepted, and just moved on with our plan. So, but we have reached out to them several times.
So is your plan then to dredge back a certain amount of distance from the lake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, talking to the engineers, what we do is we'd have a land bridge, and we dredge it dry, and then when we get done with the excavation and the building of the docks, then we would be able to break that land bridge, let the water come in.
Okay. And then on the other side of I guess that would be the north edge there, is that where the homeowners pool and park and so forth are for Blue Lake?
You know, that is not, no, that is their storage. So right there that you're looking at is where they have boats and trailers parked, not covered, just parked sporadically on their property.
Okay.
So it does not back up to anybody's home or would affect anybody. The guy that, yeah, do you have a pointer?
Yeah.
There's one resident that lives on, 372, 373, I think he owns both of those, and he has some boat docks right across that actually benefit him to the park. But his house is like all the way up at the top of the property, at the top of the hill, and he has a nice view up there, but also would not affect him.
And he's a Blue Lake resident, is that right?
Lake resident.
Okay.
Also, I'd just like to mention that where lot 63 is, that's Rockin' Robin, that cul-de-sac there. There's a bunch of mature trees, beautiful trees at the top. There's also about a 25 to 30-foot drop off of Rockin' Robin down to, where this would be. You'll barely be able to see the tops of the boat slips. And the parking and all that will be shielded by mature trees. And I took pictures on my phone if y'all want to see it, but you will not be able to see any of that from Rockin' Robin. And the access will be over here. So this will come off of Marion Trail, which is part of Phase 4, so there's no access from Rockin' Robin to that area.
This would be solely for the use of the trails residents and their guests?
Everybody in the trails, yeah.
And no dry stacking of any kind of?
No dry stacking, no. These will just be like covered, for the parking anyways, if we're talking about the parking area, which is over here, yeah. Those are just covered parking. But it'll have a nice fence and gate around it so that it's secure.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have, I don't think we have anybody signed up to speak from the citizen on this, citizens. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing then at 4:32 and entertain a motion which is located on page 83.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-20 as presented.
Councilmember Morgan makes the motion to approve. Councilmember Waddell makes the second, and any discussion? I will then call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it, and ordinance 2025-20 is approved. Thank you very much. It's going to be beautiful, by the way. Now we're through with our public hearings, and we're going to go to our business section, section 7. 7A has been pulled because it is removed from the agenda. A certificate of occupancy was granted, and a temporary CO then has taken care of any problems that we had with A. So we're going to go right to B, and we will not need to discuss A. B, Rick Williams, what do you got on B?
I hate to admit this, I wasn't prepared for it.
Texas Department of Transportation Advanced Funding Agreement. You're trying to get us a driveway.
We're trying to, yes, sir. We're hoping when they finish City Center, we'll be able to access it. And text
That'd be
it
nice.
there.
That'd be nice.
So, yes, sir. So what we have, there's a multi-step process anytime you deal with the state. This is step 1 of that. And so what they've asked is that we pass a resolution by council. I've attached a staff report, but essentially this is step 1 to execute an advanced funding agreement. The gist of that is we'll need to do some improvements on Highway 2147, restriping, left turn lane, decel, et cetera. In order for them to approve our driveway permit, which they do ahead of time, and a good faith gesture to us is we're going to execute that advance funding, which means we're going to fund the improvements to that highway. So basically, this resolution says that we're going to do that, and it kind of codifies it, so that's what's before you today.
Any questions for Rick? Do we have a
I believe it's page 104.
104?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Why, yes, we do. I move to approve Resolution 2025-23 as presented by staff.
Councilmember Weatherby submits the motion to approve. Second. Councilmember Waddell seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And 2025-23 is approved. Let's move on to C, which is agreement for acceptance of donation of property from Modern Homestead.
Yes, Council and Mayor, thank you. This item is addressing an agreement and a deed of the property that has been a piece of the history of Horseshoe Bay since about 40 years, where we had our communication towers, and when it was Lake LBJ mud on this property, and a booth that held all the equipment. We quit using that for a few years in the late 2010s. And then we came back and decided that we needed to bring another tower up because we were working on our internet program and to expand our wireless connections. So we use the same property not only for our wireless internet providers, but also for our water smart system, so we could reach down, and there's a canyon there that reaches down. So we put that in and some communications for the city on the back channels. When we were dealing with this in 2021, when we went to put that up there, we made an agreement with Ms. Lynette's, I think was her last name, and that we could utilize this piece of property, put the towers up, and that we would trade the property for some grinder installations, our grinder and water sewer taps for the property. Originally was 6, now it's 3. I talked to the new owner, which is Modern Homesteads, bought the property, and worked with them on the donation of this property to come up with the deed on the exact property for the communication tower infrastructure in an area to work around there, and to cut that out of one of the lots. And we performed that. I got the deed, got the agreement done by our attorneys, and so we're just asking for authorization to accept that donation and to allow the mayor to sign the deed.
Okay, there's a motion on page 106.
Move to approve the donation of the property described in the agreement and authorize the mayor to sign the warranty deed for the same.
Councilmember Waddell makes the motion to approve. Second.
Second.
I'll take Councilmember Morgan as our second. Any other discussion? Let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against, no. The ayes have it. It is passed. Okay. Now let's move to our consent agenda. Do we have any heartburn over the consent agenda that you want to pull off? Any council member problems with consent agenda? Okay. I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So move.
Councilmember Weatherby moves to approve the consent agenda. Second. Councilmember Waddell seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say no. No. No, I didn't say no. All right. We're going to now move to our monthly reports. Do any of the council members have any reports that are germane to our meeting here today, or you want to save them for next time? All right. I assume by your silence, you want to save them for next time. And I guess the only other thing, Ray's not in here, was the lake
over
levels.
here, yes.
Oh, there he is. How about our lake levels, Ray? Have you pulled them up yet?
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and those in attendance. So right now, our lake levels are at 1,052,502 acre feet. We need to get to 1.1, and then we need to remain there for a few days, and then the LCRA board needs to vote to take us out of that. With the upcoming rains still north of us and through San Saba, we have had considerable amounts. And Lake Buchanan, I think came up 6 feet. Lake Travis is on the rise. We are at 62% in Lake Buchanan, but there are still some releases from Lake Travis. Now, again, Lake Buchanan and Lake Travis, the combined levels we have to get to 1.1, and again, so we're almost there. If we continue to get, and we are blessed with this rain, we may be able to come out of that stage, but again, we have to get to 1.1, we have to remain there for a while, so let's just keep hoping that we get some good rain going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else have any matters that
Yes,
need
sir.
our attention?
I'd like to also say that the Transportation Committee has been working on the TxDOT alternate transportation grant that we're putting in for a $10 million grant, which we did in '23, to bring up a trail from the west side of the city to the east side of the city. We have completed that application. We're waiting on one easement to be signed, and then it should be good for putting in the application to TxDOT. We'll do that at the very latest at Friday at noon when the deadline is, hopefully a little bit sooner, just to have a little bit of room. But I would just like to say that there's been a ton of work done on this application to make this one construction ready, and is much more competitive than we did last time. We really feel like we're going to get this, but it is a competitive application. But we will know in October. But there was a whole bunch of work done by the Transportation Committee, specifically Kelly Katz, and I'd just like to recognize the work done.
They have done yeoman's work. And do we know if there's more applicants for this grant than there were last time, or do we have any idea?
Well, the deadline hadn't reached yet, but we do believe that there's going to be a lot of grants. Well, there'll be a competition for it.
Okay.
But we do have the right support, some really good support through through our legislators and through Tom Craddock, who's over the Transportation Committee for the legislator. He has jumped on this one too. And we've done a lot to prepare from what we went through after grant meeting with them, and we've done a lot of things to beef ours up to make sure we are really highly competitive.
And the expected date of the decision?
Be in October.
Okay. Anything else, Jeff?
No, sir.
Okay. We are going to now move into executive session, which means, Mr. Brascom, you've got to leave. When we have the new city center, y'all won't have to leave. You'll go to another room. So we're going to go into executive session, which will be pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with the city attorney. We're going to consult with the city attorney regarding pending litigation, civil action number 1-21-CV-1156-RP, Legacy Housing Corporation versus the City of Horseshoe Bay, Texas, the Horseshoe Bay Property Owners Association, Inc., and Jaffe Interests, LPFKA, Horseshoe Bay Resort Limited, FKA, Horseshoe Bay Resort, Inc. And we're also going to discuss, pursuant to that same government code section, the purchase of 2 lots on Azure Street as a part of the city's shared use path project.
And
So
also
we're-
under the real estate 551072, it's both consultation with attorney and the real estate.
Oh, it's, yeah, 551.071 and 551.072, I'm so sorry. Deliberation regarding real property and consultation with city attorney, which is 551.071. Thank you, Dottie.